Hello, beautiful female leader. I'm so excited to be here with you because if you let this be, this will be the best training you have ever come to the point where I'm like, do you give it all away? And all of the everything that I've studied over the last 15 years to help enable you to reach your maximum potential because I already know you. I know that you are someone who is so driven that the business that you created came out of some suffering from yourself or someone that you knew, so much so that you thought to yourself, there has to be a way that this can be fixed. And you ambitious lady, you went out there and that's what you did. And then after a while, this thing called a business starts to feel a bit lonely. You're wearing all the hats and you just feel like it should be easier. And then you're trying to juggle, if you're a mom, you're trying to juggle children. You're trying to juggle if you have a work or some kind of 9 to 5 or even a part-time job, you're trying to juggle that too. And it just gets so intense that you definitely have moments where you're like, should I just give up? Should I just burn it all to the ground? I can almost guarantee you're in your luteal phase. You're in the second half of your cycle when you say that. But even still, sometimes we're not in the second half of our cycle. And we're saying that because we're so tired, not because we don't know in our hearts that that's our mission or our soul work or what we were put on this earth to do, or that it would be such a valuable solution that would change so many people's lives. It's just because we're tired and we feel stuck because then we go to the medical system, doctors, sometimes even naturopaths, but most of the time doctors. And you're like, my body is suffering. I'm always on. My hormones are all over the place. I'm breaking out. I'm tired. I can't think straight. I can't sleep when I want to. I just can't switch off what's going on with me. Doctors just don't give you the answers that they need. Sometimes they'll say, here, test yourself for ADHD and here's an antidepressant or an anti-anxiety medication. And that's about it, unless they also prescribe you the pill or say, hey, let's check you for endo. It's like all of those are not actually helpful. Nothing, even the ripple effect of any of that stuff is going to give you the clarity that you need or the solutions that you need. And so today I wanted to share how honoring your cycle is literally your superpower. If only you knew it. Did you know that you were born with a built-in blueprint to help you succeed without it feeling hard? A literal anti-burnout method. That's what you were born with. The fact that we don't know this and the fact that we feel a lot of the time like our period is a nuisance is a crime, if you ask me, because what it can unlock for us is so much more ease and magnetism and flow. And we deserve that. We work hard. We bloody deserve that. So I want to spend the next 15 minutes with this training showing you how I can help support you and some tips that you can take away from this free training that will legit change your life forever. Like once you see this, I want you to know that this is just not like a fad or a craze. This is literally your inner operating system. You can choose to bypass it and make life hard for yourself, or you can see this training as the change forever for the rest of your life. This could be a literal turning point in where your life is headed, how hard it feels, how good it feels, how easy things come to you, because I know for sure this is what you want. You want spaciousness. You want to feel creative. You want to have hobbies. Yeah, you want to have so much time that you have hobbies. You want to run around with kids, whether they're your own or a sister's or a relative's, and you want to be the one that everyone says, oh my gosh, like you're like a little energizer bunny. Like, do you ever stop? Like you're like, I miss that. You want fun. You want sexiness. You want all of that good, juicy stuff in your life. But I guarantee you that you're probably so tired and so exhausted and kind of just a bit demotivated around it all and wondering what is going on with me? What do I need to do? Is it more supplements? Do I need more sauna treatments? Do I need to do a cleanse? Like, what is it that I need to do right now? Or should I just be like shutting up and just being grateful for what I have and just keep pushing through? Is this just a season? Let me show you how life can be easy, whether you are in a tough season and you still have to hold down the fort, or actually it's just a structural issue with how you're running your body and your business. Because the last thing that I want is a preventable situation like having hormonal balance, clarity of mind, emotional expression, and being connected to your source in the universe to stop you, or not having those things to stop you from the business that you built out of passion. Because Lord knows whatever you got going on is what we need, because I know your heart and I know why you built it and you know why you built it. And it would be a crying shame if it never saw the light of day or it never got the reach that it deserves. And you know that. And so listen up. I'm going to teach you some things today. I'm going to teach you about your 4 phases really quick, just in case you don't know about them. You have your follicular phase. This is after your period, then you go into your follicular phase. So after you've bled, you go into your follicular phase. There's a reason that I'm starting with the follicular phase and not your bleed. You'll see in a second why. Then you go into your ovulatory phase. This is when you ovulate, usually a little bit more horny at this time. You're usually walking through a crowd of people and people just like turn around because you've walked past and you're just like, I just have that like hot bitch energy today. Then you have your luteal phase where the world comes crashing down. You want to burn everything down to the ground. And then your period comes, you're like, oh, that's why I feel so shit and I'm crying all the time. But you're also probably really strong at the gym at that time too, probably hitting some PBs anyways, because that's the time when all your hormones drop and your bleed actually comes. Maybe you're in a lot of pain because of that. Maybe it's a really heavy flow. Whatever is going on for you and whatever else is happening in your cycle, if you have any symptoms that come about at the same time, every point in your cycle, know that you have to understand what I'm about to say. It's literally the most important thing for you right now out of anything else that you're doing. And I'll tell you why, actually. Let me flip this example for you, because I know being a leader, like, why should you care about the word leader? What is a leader anyway? It's important that you care about being a good leader, because being a good leader, honestly, is going to help you make bank. You have more spaciousness in your life. You actually have the ability to enjoy the life that you worked so hard to build. But also, you get to have more impact because your business stays alive, because you have the energy and the capacity to run it. That's why I'm here. And if we flip the script, I'll tell you about a coach that I have who coaches a lot of very high level women. And she was telling me about a client that she has. I'm serious, like this client's making like 6 figures a month. And she was telling me about this client that she has. She's like, her business is so amazing, but literally we are having to like dull it down. This woman has no capacity. You can see her just, she's going gaunt. She's hunched over. She's got cold sores all the time. She's so exhausted. She's so burnt out. She's got every symptom under the sun. As a founder, that gets really bloody difficult to work with. And actually, because the founder's like the head of the body, doesn't have to be doing all the systems. It's the vision, it's the brain. When you don't have the head, you've just got a body working for what? Where is that energy getting channeled? Where is the focus? What's the next step? Where does the leader want to take this business? Where does the leader want to take the family? Like, we're leaders if we're mothers. And it was so interesting to hear her say, she's like, I just don't know what to do with this client. Like, this client is just on struggle street so much. And the problem is her. Like, she is the problem. And like, lovingly, obviously, she said that she didn't say that in a rude way, but she's like, she is basically like, she's stopping herself from her own success. She's like, I've got systems and strategy. Like, I want to help her grow. But all we've done for the last 6 months, every time we jump on a call with this one-on-one client who's paying her like 5 figures, half of 6 figures, go work out, do that math. Every time she jumps on a call, she's like, all we're talking about is stuff that she should have done and ways to give a little. So she has a little bit of space and she has a little bit of capacity, to the point where now the mentor, the coach, is actually advising, let's just drop down your monthly income for a little bit because you need some room to breathe, or this is going nowhere. You're literally about to break. And she actually asked me for my help. More on that, stay tuned. But that is where I come in, right? What I love to do is I love to build leaders, and I love to help them be resilient, because like I said, more money for you, more impact for them. And you get to feel good in your nervous system doing that. You get to feel like, oh, this is really enjoyable. So let's get down to it. I'm going to give you some examples. So like I just said, you got those 4 phases. Here's how I make things a world of difference. This does. I'm going to make this so much easier. Forevermore, if you're in my world forevermore and nobody else does this, this is what I do, and I've had success with this for 15 years. I want you to take those 2 phases at the top and those 2 phases at the end, and you're going to consider this your first half and consider this your second half. Follicular, ovulatory, luteal, menstrual. You know why I do that? Who on earth, who is already busy? If you're a founder, you're busy. If you're a mom, you're busy. Who on earth, what woman, what female has brain space in her head to think about 4 different ways of exercising and 4 different ways of eating? You've all heard about cycle syncing, maybe at one stage or another. If you follow me, you would have heard about it a lot. The way that we run things here is I'm just going to help keep things as easy as possible. First half, second half. Got it? So let's say, for example, and this could be backwards, I'm not sure, but let's say, for example, you ovulate roughly halfway through the month. So if there's 30 days, this is the literal only piece of actual paper in this entire journal that didn't have children's writing on it. If you have, so that says 15. If in the 15th is when you ovulate, and first you need to know when you're ovulating. Okay, that's really important. And if you don't ovulate regularly, well, we have to get you there first. Cycle syncing is literally where we start. I will show you with food and exercise and daily practices to regulate your nervous system, how to regulate this really fast so that you have predictability, so that you can build around a predictable system. There's nothing more stressful than not knowing when you're ovulating, not knowing when your period is coming. And trust me, I have lived that life. The stress of not knowing, honestly, is probably 90% of the problem. And then you're kind of stuck in this cycle because stress is the main enemy of your hormones. So then it just goes and goes and goes. And you're like, when am I getting it? When am I getting it? Can I wear a white dress? Can I wear white shorts today? Am I going to be somewhere that am I going to be on stage? And then I start bleeding because you just have no idea when it comes. I've lived that life. That sucked. That was hard. I had so many symptoms. You couldn't even put a finger on my face without touching a pustular pimple. It was so bad. And I had pain all the time. And I was I was very emotional. I felt like I had a little bit of anxiety at one point. All of these are hormonal symptoms of imbalance. So let me just make this nice and clear for you. So let's just say you might not be able to see this perfectly, and that's okay. I'll just explain it to you. So if this here is the first of the month, that's the 15th when you ovulate, and that's like the 30th of the month. So that's the end of the month. The first 2 lines, like the first 2 weeks, pretty much, that's your first half. And then the orange, so the pink is your first half and the orange is your second half. So that's just for my visual galleys. I just need something visual. Okay. That's how in your mind you split it forever, the end. Make sure you do it around when you ovulate. So if you do know when you ovulate, then make sure that you split either side on either half of the month. In general, there are some rules in general anyway. We need to reduce our stress, right? But more importantly, where we have so much more control than we know, because often if we're trying to reduce stress, you can't sell your kids and you want to keep your business running. And they're probably the 2 main sources of stress that you have. So if your external world cannot change, let's focus on what we can control, your internal world. And my golly gee, there is so much friction and so much resistance and so much energy you're burning. If you imagine like a little mouse running around on a wheel, they're like not going anywhere. They're spinning their wheels and they're not going anywhere. Why? Because you're actually unknowingly fighting with your own cycle. And how do you know if you're doing that? If you have literally any symptom, PMS is like a perfect example. If you have any symptom that has a cyclical pattern, this is relevant for you. So you are who I'm talking to, and you like fixing this is going to give you so much more flow, so much more magnetism as a leader. People will follow you. People will trust you. You'll be able to trust yourself, have your own back. You won't self-sabotage anymore. You'll follow through. You will execute all of the things that determine your business growth. You'll naturally be better at doing sales as well because you're more magnetic. You're better at conversations. You're better at relationships and all those things that sometimes you cycle because you've understood yourself. And when you've understood yourself and you know when you're optimized for certain activities in your business, you have a lot more capacity in yourself. And I'm going to take it one step further and tell you that when you work with me and you join my programs, not only am I going to show you like basically productivity hacks to be inconsistent, but overall have growth in your business, because that's actually what we should be doing. Consistency is actually not what you need. You don't need the same thing every single day. You actually need variation with a strategy and a blueprint, the one that you come packaged with. So I'm going to show you some tips and things that you can do. And like I said, in my world, what we do is I show you how to increase the capacity without your external world changing at all, so that you feel better. Nothing else is outside of you has changed, but you feel better because of your own tweaks. I do this with food in my programs. I do this with exercise in my programs. And I also do this with how you actually run your business, how you strategize your world, how you plan your month, your personal life and your business life. It's all actually the same. Well, you use the same strategy, right? Same language, different world. What I also do when you work with me is I also help to empty the bucket. So I'm doing this because in my mind, I imagine a bucket. We all walk around with our buckets at a certain height, full of a certain amount of toxicity. That could be physical, mold, parasites, heavy metals, gut imbalance, hormonal imbalance. That could be emotional, patterns, programs, little traumas, big traumas, chip on our shoulders, people we don't want to talk to. So we make our lives really hard because we live in resentment, etc., etc. Maybe we have an issue with authority and we're rebels. A lot of entrepreneurs are. And energetic toxicity. So we're disconnected, we don't trust, and that creates a lot of friction for us too, because actually our natural blueprint is to walk with trust, to know we trust ourselves and we have our own back, that we can trust that we can tackle anything that comes our way, and also trust in the universe or God or a higher power, that they also have our back and that we are supported at all times, which I truly believe. So when you have this bucket that you're walking around with, it only sometimes takes just a really small amount of one person asking you to do one thing, of one more thing in your world going wrong, of one hard day with your child, or a little bit of road rage, like one small incident, and it's like the whole thing spills over. Sometimes you just like live at the brink of that kind of all the time. Most women do. We have so much pressure. There's so much to hold. There's so much responsibility. There's so many people to think about, so many people to consider. And often our toxicity bucket is so full and we are so depleted as a result because we've been giving to everybody else for so long. We are not going to sacrifice ourselves anymore, but we are also not going to do that at the expense of other people either. Because what I'm going to show you is how to reduce that toxin bucket and have all of these amazing like hacks so that actually the toxin bucket is almost like non-existent, so that you are what I call a clear vessel, clear for all your manifestations to come through, clear for you to be a vibrational match for all of the amazing things that you want, to the point where people are like, what did you do? You like quantum leap in your life all the time. That is what I love doing. So let's make it easy. Let's start with something that we can actually start with. Okay. So here's what we're going to do. Simply, in this first half of your cycle, I want you to think that you are expanding and that there's a lot of external focus, a lot of external focus. So you're really good at building relationships. You're really good at speaking. You're very magnetic naturally. It's a great time to take sales calls. Your body has a lot of energy. It's really like optimized to go out and do the thing. And if we were to give the halves of our cycle an energy like masculine or feminine, the first half of your cycle is actually when you're most like a man, in that you're the most energetic, you fit society's box of what you should be the most in the first half of your cycle. And so it's the masculine energy. It's still feminine hormones. So estrogen is a feminine hormone. And estrogen for us is like testosterone for men. When those are too low, we like don't have any vibrancy. There's no, like, we don't have any drive. So it's a good thing. We do want this. We do want a good amount. But that is when we're just naturally like, sales just come really easy. We're really good at starting things. We have lots of ideas. It's a great time to optimize those kinds of business activities. It's a great time to optimize harder workouts, more digestion in terms of like the foods that you're eating. So you're eating more raw foods, more like summery foods, the kind of foods that you would eat in summer, because your body is like, it's got lots of energy and it's able to help you just like mow through food, like really digest it, cut it up into small, tiny little bits, put it where it needs to go. It's like your fire, right? That's like the fire half. So you're expanding. And then in the second half of your cycle, so the orange part of your cycle, this is where you're really optimized to go inward. Your brain actually changes to a point where you're really good at going inward. So let me ask you this. Even if you have PMS symptoms and you know you have periods coming, have you ever gotten in a flow and you are just so into it that you're like, don't anyone talk to me? I just want to get this one thing done. And you're thinking, oh, I'm so irritated. But actually, your brain is dying, craving. It's so optimized right now to get things done, to follow through, to complete, to analyze, to review, to interpret data. You are so optimized for that. It's actually why you get so agitated when someone interrupts your inward flow, where you're like literally like, you could be like in a dingy, like dark room and you're like, so totally in your world, just so engrossed in your stuff. You're so in it because you're so focused and you're able to concentrate. It's very much going inward. It's a time where we can rest and recover from the outside world, but where we can do a lot of inside work. And this is where a lot of women get it wrong. We don't have to stop or slow down. You need all of these activities in your business, especially if you're a one-woman band, but especially if you ever become a CEO of your own business or a CEO in general. You need to be across all of these activities anyway, like accounting and what's going on with, all of my staff or whatever it might be. These are crucial skills that you have to have, that you're going to need in a business anyway, that you will need in your current business. Like I said, even if you are a one-woman band, because you're wearing all the hats right now, and being able to understand that you're optimized for that is the reason why it feels frictionless, because you know that you're optimized. And when you know what you're optimized for ahead of time, you can plan accordingly. Now, wouldn't it be so cool if you had like this holistic blueprint of how to do that? That is what it's like in my world. And it took me a really long time to master this. It took me, it's 15 years now. And it started with energetic and masculine balance, looking at my inner child work and my trauma, learning how to be comfortable with my emotions and actually like clear them out of my system, feel emotions and clear them out of my system. Our intuition and our emotion is a superpower, because heart-led leaders are the ones who change the world. They are the ones whose businesses become the most impactful. They have cult-like following because of the story of the leader. And many CEOs, many leaders will talk about that. So that's really important. And I also personally then had to go through a whole journey of understanding, okay, well, how do I eat? And why do I eat that? Why am I eating this micronutrient at this time? Why am I eating that macronutrient? That when is fats the most important? When should I train hard? I love building muscle. I know muscle is great for my energy. Building muscle, by the way, is literally like putting batteries in all of your cells. So underrated, so underrated. And as a personal trainer in the past, had to learn, okay, what should I do so that I'm still as optimized as I can be? I'm still strong, I still feel sexy, but I'm not burning myself out. And how, across all of that, do I actually feel joy? Am I actually happy and content and fulfilled? I want you to hit me with the questions that you have. And I want you to know that right now the applications are open for the Feminine Magnetism Blueprint, because it is here that we begin our journey to empty that toxin bucket and to start to show you all of the little hacks and all of the little ways that you can tweak your life and become a full spectrum CEO, full spectrum leader who is genuinely happy and content and feeling good, feeling sexy, and feeling like a fucking powerhouse 24/7. Because you deserve to feel like that. And with my work, you will. So if you have any questions, jump into my inbox. I'm so glad that you were able to watch this through to the end. I guarantee you, if you even spend a few days knowing where you are in your cycle and tweaking things, like I've said in this video, to your cycle, I guarantee you, you will feel like you have more energy in 2 to 3 days' time. You layer that in with all the nutrition plans, training plans, detox protocols that I do, and everything else that I do on all different levels of the body, as in not just physical body, but emotional body and energetic body. Lady friend, you will be unstoppable. I guarantee it, because that's what happens in my world. All right, I'll leave it here. Bye for now.